Marjorie Taylor Greene stands up for two women's rights that don't exist. This
Right.
headline fascinated me, and I was so excited to get to this one. What is going on here, Jeannie?
So Marjorie again, out there on the um, alt-right conservative media news trail, said during an interview on the Rob Carson show that unlike the Democrats, Republicans support women because they want to force women to become mothers, even if it's a circumstance that they didn't plan. The very idea that women's rights don't matter anymore, which is what they say, referring to Democrats, Greene goes on, our stance for pro-life is we support women. We support their pregnancies. We support them being mothers. And even if it's a circumstance that they didn't plan.
None of that adds up.
Oh,
None.
yeah, it does. It really does. Now, you have to do a special kind of math to get there.
Ah, okay.
Okay? So, first of all, women are only valuable if they can make babies. Women are valid only if they can make babies. If a woman can't make babies, she is not valid nor valuable. You have to start with that, okay? And it's just like in geometry. You got to have a proof. This is proof.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know it's proof? It's in the Bible. Okay? So we got a proof. Women are not valid, nor are they valuable unless they can have a baby. The inverse of that is true. If a woman cannot have a baby, she is neither valid nor
See,
valuable.
I missed that part of the Bible. I need to read it more.
Okay, so that's our proof. Now we can build on that, right? Republicans are saying we fight for women's right by making sure that women are valid and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They see women as valid and valuable. But remember the proof. When you
If.
enter in women are valid and valuable, it has a very strict definition of if they can make a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Once they can't make a baby, they are no longer valid nor valuable. So she went on from there to say, we also support women's rights, our right to privacy, our right to have privacy in our bathrooms, our right to compete in our women's sports without being threatened by biological men. And so all of this is a slap in our face.
Which I have never once heard it put forth on the sports thing that in sports teams, if a trans person has a crazy advantage, then the team of cisgender women have an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's never mentioned. It's just never mentioned.
I mean, right. We can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to base our arguments on false premises to begin with and then build on that logic like you just proved there.
Emily, I know this one's going to get me censured, if not completely fired. But it's not a false premise. It's a balls presence. You didn't get it, did you?
This kidder. You're a goofball. Surprise, surprise. We still get to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a separate article, right? Now Marjorie Taylor Greene calls non-biological parents a danger to children. This
Yeah.
here's another premise. What's going on here?
So context. Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking with Alex Stein, who got a little bit of attention last week because he approached Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez on the Capitol steps and called her a sexy big booty Latina. Um, so she's talking with this giant of intellectual discourse
Mm-hmm.
and said that children are in great danger because traditional family values are being destroyed. The idea that mom and dad together, not fake mom and fake dad, but the biological mom and biological dad can raise their children together and do what's right for their children, raising them to be confident in who they are, their identity. Their identity is, they're a child made by God. So essentially what she's saying is that only a biological mom and a biological dad have what it takes to raise a child in a healthy manner
Mm-hmm.
because they're a child made by God.
So an adopted child is.
Okay, so that's the big argument. Are they talking about is Marjorie Taylor Greene basically saying that an adopted child cannot be brought up in a healthy and you know full way by adoptive parents? Does it only mean because a fake mom and a fake dad, um, what does that apply to? But only the biological mom and the biological can raise their children together and do what's right for them because they're a child made by God. Y'all are missing it. The idea that a mom and dad together, not a fake mom, not a fake dad, but the biological mom and the biological dad are the only ones who can raise their children and do what's right for them because their child was made by God. God made their child. That makes them fake parents too. This is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is invited to not close her mouth because she provides some great points.
It's
A
gold, Jerry.
child
Gold.
made by God does not have biological mother or father. Even Jesus had a biological mother. So a child made by God would not have a biological mother or father. Look at it this way. Adam and Eve didn't have biological mother and father.
Well, and Jesus didn't have a biological father then either.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Let's get God on Jerry Springer right now. Because he's a deadbeat dad. I mean, let's just, deal with it.
Yeah, it's just so hilariously flawed and terrible. It's just
Mira, you nail it on the head. Don't abort because adoption, but also kids that get adopted can't be raised right. So you can't abort them and you can't give them up for adoption. Do you know what the next logical conclusion is?
what's that?
Slave markets.
What's that?
Slave markets.
Slave markets.
I mean, if you can't abort them and they can't be raised right by adoption,
Mm-hmm.
what's left?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if the father isn't present, if the father isn't around, then you don't have both parents, so that it can't be a child of God. Then, therefore, because like if you bring in another fatherly figure, they will have adopted, so that it's not they're therefore a child of God. So yeah, like the whole thing is off. Like it's just
And since we are resetting the clocks back to the 1800s, we know that the slave trade was a part of capitalism, and which party supports capitalism more than the other.
well, not only that, but extreme historical capitalism.
Yeah, extreme historical capitalism with no morality whatsoever.
Yep. Huh.